But let's just bring it to Dubois, because, listen, there's plenty to dig into with Laine, especially when you consider he's going to play with John Tortorella. But let's start with Dubois. Any concerns at all? Because this is a guy who clearly was unhappy. You could question, I guess, his effort, his motivation during the last 2 weeks when he got benched. Any worries about him now that he goes to Winnipeg? Jones, I'll start with you. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Go ahead. I'm junior. You're senior, Jonesy.
Exactly. Stay out of my way. So I would say I have less than 1% worry about Dubois. Okay. I think he's going to do a very good job there. I think whatever happened there, I don't know if it was the fact that he felt like he should be paid Austin Matthews type money and term, and Columbus wasn't going to give it to him. In my eyes, it kind of seems like that was the biggest part of the issue. He clearly stated when he had an opportunity a day after the trade that John Tortorella was not the problem, that he respected what Torts had done for him in his career. So I think he's going to be going into a situation with an extremely good attitude. And I think the way he handled his last few days and probably weeks in Columbus wasn't ideal. I wish he would have handled it differently, but he got the result that he was looking for. He got out of there probably quicker than Columbus wanted to trade him. And in essence, he probably helped his own situation because he's heading to a place where he's going to do some damage with the Winnipeg Jets. So I'm not worried about him in that regard.
There'll be a ton of attention on him going up to Canada. Winnipeg's a city that lives and dies with the Jets. Every detail will be scrutinized. I think that's a good thing for Pierre-Luc Dubois, getting out of Columbus and going to Winnipeg. He's going to have a chance to become a league superstar and get all that attention that some of these young guys want. And he's not the guy, the only forward in Winnipeg that we're going to be talking about. He's going to be surrounded with some pretty speedy wingers, some guys that are filling the net. Their power play can score goals. And going back to that playoff series, Toronto versus Columbus last year, Dubois showed me that in the playoff time, he can compete, he can battle, and going head-to-head with Austin Matthews and John Tavares, he was pretty good. I don't think it's the player we saw in the last 2 weeks in Columbus. Fortunately, I haven't been in a situation like that. I don't know what he was thinking the last couple of weeks. It's probably on the phone a lot, waiting to be traded. It's tough to really prepare for a hockey game and be committed to being the best player you can with all that noise going on in the background. So I think for Dubois, he's probably excited to join a new team and just play hockey for a while.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of you. I mean, I think it's going to work. I think this is a great spot for him. But it's the other side of the trade that I have bigger questions about, and it's Patrik Laine. No question about the fact that he can fill the net, all right? Because in a bad year, a guy who's 22 years old at this point, in a bad year, he gives you 30 goals. He has a shot. He has a natural gift to score. But if there's a question, it is about intensity, it's about effort, and really about consistency of both of those things. And now you're going to pair him up with John Tortorella, a coach who absolutely demands that you consistently, night in, night out, bring it. And I wonder how that is going to mesh. And I think you have to have some big concerns, because if it doesn't mesh, then you have another player who perhaps is there, doesn't work out, and then doesn't sign long-term. Sharpie, what's your thoughts on this?
I agree with you, Liam. I'm going to be watching the Patrik Laine situation in Columbus just to see how he fits in. Before I beat up Torts and say that skilled players that play his style of game, looking for quiet areas, use the heavy shot, don't fit into Torts' system. Look at how Panarin played his final year in Columbus. I know he didn't stay, but he's a pretty effective player playing for John Tortorella in that system, doing good things on the power play and making players around him better. Laine is a player for me that has that lethal shot, and he's got to get it off in different situations. Who's he going to play with? Who's going to get him the puck? When I watch Columbus play, they're straight lines. They're a physical team. They take pride in winning those one-on-one battles, and they can shut things down defensively and win a game 1-0. Laine is the type of guy that can be a game breaker on the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'm not sure how it works out long-term. I'm thinking that Laine is going to be excited to get out of Winnipeg, join his new teammates. There is a Finnish connection with Jarmo Kekalainen as the GM in Columbus. So we'll see how it all works out. Let's not forget Roslovic, but Laine is going to have his hands full with Torts demanding some certain things from his game that we don't really see every night with Patrik Laine.
Sometimes a fresh voice, a different coach can all of a sudden just snap a player into doing the things that the previous coach was preaching for him to do. And Paul Maurice is a great coach. He's also a very demanding coach. He's very similar in some ways to John Tortorella. So the message is probably going to be similar, but just sometimes a fresh start can all of a sudden open the eyes of a player to do the things that he's being demanded of. And I think that Laine's unique skill set that Liam touched upon, and you did too, Sharpie, is going to be something that is really welcomed in Columbus. It's something that they've lacked. It's something they lack with their team right now. They have a very good back end. They have puck-moving defensemen in both Jones and Werenski that should be able to put the puck in places where he can fire it. Winnipeg, when he was scoring a lot more frequently, they did have some guys that could get him the puck back there. Their defense is a lot different looking over the last year and a half. I think he's going to welcome that part of the game in Columbus, that their D can move the puck, and the power play should become a lot better because of his great shot. So he's going to feel like he's a big part of that team. He's going to be their top line winger. I don't think he ever felt like he was in Winnipeg. The Jets wanted to make him earn it, and he wanted it to be handed to him. And that just situation didn't work. But it's going to be handed to him in Columbus. And that's the part that I think we'll all be watching closely to see if he grabs it, runs with it, and starts to light it up again like he did his first couple of seasons.